Brookie.
I'm trying to keep up on all your good info that you can provide. I listened to Matt Bemrick talk yesterday. I was like, well, that's a good interview.
No, yeah, see,
Trying to look from the best.
now here's where you're at on my camera here, Brooke. You got to move.
Oh, where?
You got to move toward that way a little bit.
I like to doing it. Oh, I don't know. Oh, back here.
Yeah, there you go.
Hi. I
go.
am terrible with directions.
That's
so,
okay.
Yes.
That's all right. So, yeah, Brookie, Jesus.
That's okay. My grandma called me Brookie.
Yeah, I know, but
and there's these delicious Brookie treats that is cookie and brownie together, which is a Brookie.
Yeah, well, here you are in your 40s, and I'm still talking to
That's
you.
all right.
8 years old. Hi, Brookie.
I'm okay. I'm okay with
You're
that.
okay with that. Okay. So you're from Fort Dodge, I hear.
Yes, I am. I
Right.
love Fort Dodge.
I've known some of your relatives over the years.
Yes.
All right.
A lot of good people.
How's your mom doing down the bookworm?
She's doing good. She's staying busy. She is
Still working? Hasn't retired?
She has not retired. She is just still going. She loves the bookworm though. That's her thing. And then my dad and my stepmom Diane, we all have Bickford Realty together, and I'm doing the news. And my kids keep me busy too with school and everything like that.
Well,
So
this can't be a real job.
this is a real job for me.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay. Well, I know you do.
Love it.
But,
Love it.
And you have an undergraduate degree in journalism?
Yep, I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Iowa in journalism and mass communication. I got that in 2000.
And you worked in Sioux City TV for a while.
I worked in Sioux City TV. I worked in Iowa City Radio for 7 years as the news director there, and then
Were you what were the call signals?
KCJJ 1630 AM, a locally owned station.
Okay.
So my boss actually owned the station, and it was phenomenal. So it was talk radio.
Mhm.
So the mornings would be talk with the captain and Anthony. And then I did a midday show for a while, but then they had all kinds of different shows. So it was mostly talk until about 6 o'clock, and then there was news through the overnight. So a 4-minute newscast was kind of what I was used to. And when I was there, I worked, I went to New York after 9/11. I reported for radio there. I worked.
That must have been something.
Oh, it was something. It was I was pretty young then too. So, it was amazing. It was before I was married, and it was my first time in New York. So it was really a phenomenal experience, and got to talk to a lot of really interesting people and see a New York City with tanks on the streets instead of cars. And
Well, that was the time.
that was the
We
time.
didn't know what was going to happen next.
No. And it's funny. It's not funny, but a year before that happened, I went to the Democratic National Convention in Los Angeles, and the protests are happening there. And after
Protests about what? Of course, it's Democrats.
Oh boy.
They could be protesting.
It was a lot of protesting about everything.
Yeah, I
So
bet it was.
Rage Against the Machine played. And, so I got to see a free show.
That's so appropriate
It
for
is,
Democrats.
right?
They're always mad about something.
But it was, So that, the whole political turmoil at that point, just once the tragedy happens, wipes away. It's just like, it's like we do this repetitive thing all the time where it's like, hate, hate, hate. Oh, we love each other.
That's the way it was then. I don't know now.
I don't either. Now it's different. So, yep.
I have Laura Bell on the air with me. I don't know if you ever kept up with her blog. She's a very liberal.
Yes, I've listened to her. Well, I've listened to her on your show.
Right. It's bleedingheartland.com. But, I don't want to get in big, furious arguments with Laura. I mean, even though we disagree on practically everything.
But it's good to hear that. I mean, it's good to have those talks.
We got to do it. And maybe we can. The Democrats. I don't know what it was about Donald Trump, but the Democrats just went nuts. I think they were so irritated that Lady Macbeth didn't get the presidency.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that they just couldn't get, and they still haven't got over themselves. Now they're trying to. Now they're like some third world country trying to throw all their political opponents in jail or ban them from ever running for re-election.
Just suiting up all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Real wimpy people like Adam Schiff. I mean, I wish I was in school with Adam Schiff back in the day because I know how to beat the hell out of him every day at recess. It's like one of those guys with the punch me face.
He does have a punch, like Anthony Weiner had a punch me face.
Absolutely. And even if it wasn't for his face,
his name is, yes.
Your name is Weiner? Come on over here.
We're all 12 years old.
Come on over here by the jungle, Jim. I got something for you.
Right.
are.
That's why I like covering local news, because local news is not angry news. I mean, good news is news. So that's one thing I kind of learned because I ran for city council.
Yes, you did.
And I did not have to tell anyone if I was Republican, an independent, Democrat. Didn't have to say. People did ask. I didn't say. But that's the thing about being in a news position is you can be friends with everybody. There are many Republicans I think are just amazing. Same with Democrats. And on the local level, I think there's so much good that can be done by all of them.
Mhm.
You get to the bigger level, and it's different.
Yeah.
So
So you had some information, and I brought this up to the mayor yesterday. I think you scooped the mayor. That don't you have some information on broadband or?
okay, so I knew that there was info coming up on the broadband, like a great big announcement, because Amanda Holmes, who is their communications director for the city, she basically wanted to make sure, extend an invitation to all of us to make sure we come. And I think they're going to have quite a bit of info, and it might be what Matt said, which it could be like just kind of propaganda stuff, but I do think that they are going to have some people on hand to talk about it a little bit further. So it'll be interesting. Yeah.
The broadband people, well, that would be city people, right?
Well, I'm not sure. There's people on hand that I have the story.
Of course, David Feerick and others have been talking about partnering with some group that really understands what's happening. The city people and the council people, I mean, they're local citizens.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's like opening your own business, a different business. I think it's very necessary, though. I think that broadband is going to be a really good thing. I mean, it's like everything. Sometimes it takes people a little while to figure out, change is good. But
well, MediaCom didn't want to hear it, and
right.
And they soaked West Des Moines for $600,000. I saw.
Yeah.
All because West Des Moines wanted to do what we're doing and apparently didn't do it the right way.
Right.
So it gave MediaCom an open meeting to sue the citizens of West Des Moines. Of course, they took it because they really care about their customers.
They do. They care so much. They care so much. You can see it on every bill.
Go sit down for
Right.
4 hours
Right.
and maybe we'll get to you today.
Well, and I did. David Feerick, he talked to you a little bit about the auction they had for the 4,000 IP addresses that they were getting. They did win that one of those bids. They didn't win the first one, but they won another one. So I think the city is doing a great job at doing these things like they're supposed to. Sometimes you'll think that why are there all these advisors for certain things, but there needs to be sometimes, especially if you're in a unknown territory.
Yeah.
So
Now this afternoon I want you to find your dad. I didn't go to school with him.
you didn't? Oh yeah, because you're
I
Algona.
grew up in Algona,
Right.
but Larry, your dad grew up out here.
Mhm.
But I know if we would have gone to school together, we would have found guys like Schiff and Winter and me every day.
I think so too.
Every single day.
I heard you talking about the dugout yesterday.
The dugout.
The dugout, yeah.
Yeah, what a class place.
That and the top hat. You
And the
know,
hat.
my parents met there
Your parents met the hat?
because the hat.
I knew your mom was my kind of girl.
Yeah. Back in the day, the top hat was that kind of place where
Yeah.
young kids would go. And my Aunt Barb Bonsack also worked there, but not as a stripper. She worked
No, I
there
didn't.
as a
I
bartender.
believe that.
Yes.
But it was a dancer place.
Yeah, that's how Pickards are. We accept it all.
Well, that's how Fordyce people used to be.
And I think a lot still are
See.
pretty accepting.
I think so.
Hopefully. I mean, I always try to see the best in people, and I think for the most part, we're all still kind of the tough guys and tough gals that care about each other.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
Don't forget your Uncle Bernie. I haven't seen him in
Oh,
years.
Bernie's the Eagle Grove guy.
He's up there still.
Yeah, yep.
I haven't seen him in years.
No,
But I
he's
met
doing
him.
good though.
Well, I'm glad to hear.
Yep.
Did he have health problems long ago?
He does. His breathing is not great, but he quit smoking, I believe. And
That's a big help.
yeah.
I had
that's-
trouble breathing there for a while too, so I quickly deduced maybe it has to do with 40-year cigarette habit. I have.
Right. I was watching, they had a show on, I think Prime, on I Love Lucy. Like the I Love Lucy and who was her husband, Desi Arnaz.
Desi Arnaz.
And constantly smoking, because they were brought to you by a cigarette company.
Probably.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
well, that was a Fort Dodge long ago. It seems like, and I don't know how this happened. when I was a young man in the 60s and 70s, liberal women were liberal women. They had
Right.
kind of a different outlook. And I loved it, frankly. But now it seems like liberal women all turn into nuns.
I agree with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must address us all as Sister Mary, whoever, and I never wanted to do that, even though I went to Catholic school the first 4 years. I hated nuns. I did. I just hated them. They were sisters of the presentation. Some of the Fort Dodge kids, or most of the Fort Dodge kids, had the. I know you don't know anything about this. You're a Lutheran, but here in Fort Dodge, they had the Blessed Virgin Mary nuns. And they were a lot nicer than that was Sisters of the Presentation. Sisters of the Presentation were an Irish group who wanted to beat Irish poor kids into heaven.
Oh, well, that's not. I think they've scarred you for life.
Oh God! I was out watching the St. Edmund softball game one year, and a nun offered a child who was a little cold her coat.
Oh.
And I thought to myself, leave that child alone, you old.
Yeah. So.
But she was being a gentle and kind woman.
Sure.
But that was my reaction to it.
Right, because you just have that in your head, and I agree with that.
It was a revelatory moment. I laid off after that. There's no reason to, here's this nun lady who's trying to do a real nice thing, and my reaction was shut up.
Right. I think miscommunication is the biggest problem that we all have.
Yeah.
Miscommunication. If people take offense to things they shouldn't take offense, well, that is not necessarily meant to be offensive when it comes to whatever it is, or an assumption.
Yeah.
Like until you know somebody and sit down and talk to them, you shouldn't speak on them. I don't think, because you don't really know where they come from or what their intentions are.
That's right.
You could say all politicians are a certain way. They're certain way, but until you talk to them and know them a little bit, you really shouldn't. And that's just kind of how some people are. The negative side of it.
Yeah. What else is going on in our city?
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of budget stuff going on with the city.
Yeah.
The city council all through this month doing budget meetings on Mondays, every Monday. And then same with the board of supervisors this week. They are going to be doing budgeting and going through some stuff there. The Fort Dodge Community School District, they are having what was it? They are having a discussion about upgrades to the HVAC at the senior high. So at Cooper Elementary School, just after the winter break, the kids there had to go to Riverside schools because they're doing air conditioning and flooring and the asbestos abatement stuff. So that's all the first part of it, and that's supposed to end August 12th, I believe. And then the senior high is next on, because the senior high is next. Older, although it doesn't seem old, it is an older school now compared to how they are. So that's it for really city and county stuff. At the city council meeting on Monday, Bryce Crestwood, who is at the high school right now, he's Officer Crestwood.
He's Officer
Crestwood, and he teaches criminal law and stuff for criminal justice at the high school, and he's really great to the kids. He's potentially going to be promoted to sergeant based on whether the city council approves it, or usually they will approve it, but I can't say that because it's up to them. And so I talked to one of the newer council members, Canel Michaela, about that, because he works with him at the school, and he'll be sitting there and saying yes, yay or nay to him on Monday to his new appointment. So that's kind of interesting too, seeing a new officer move into that role. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad even though Cornell probably beat you, didn't he?
Yes, he did, but I'm kind of happy he did. Again, oh my gosh, I had to not say a lot of things I really believed.
When you were running for council?
Oh, yes. And
you want to say them now or not?
Well, here's what I'd say: it's none of your business.
What's none of your business?
None of your business if I think certain things about other people. Like people would be negative about the current council members, and I don't know why, because they didn't understand and know them. So like during when I was running, I went to lunch with Lydia Scher. It was the first time I ever met her. And I think she's great. It's her birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday, Lydia. And I didn't like having to go against good people either. Like I think Penelope Caleb's a good person.
Yeah.
Lydia's a good
Well,
person.
the unfortunate part of this, and memory, some of those guys will tell you that you do lose a little privacy.
Yes.
When you,
A lot of privacy for $4,000 a year.
Yeah. My hat's off to council members for the most part. And even Ann Meyer and
Oh,
Tim
yeah.
Feinberg are going to be here later after the news at 3. They don't make a lot of money.
No.
And I mean, Feinberg doesn't do the job, neither does Ann Meyer, but they
But they
do
do it for because their hearts are in the right
Yeah,
place.
their hearts are in the right places, exactly right. Yeah.
But oh boy, yeah, that would. I think I dodged a bullet.
You may have. You may have set up. You may set up there none of your business, from the council table, and people would go nuts.
Right.
over that.
Right.
But
And also, people don't realize
July down 11.5 at $14.27 August down 3/4 at $14. March soybean meal down 8.10 a ton at $3.92.70. February live cattle down 40 cents at $137.92. April down 107 at $142.10. January feeder cattle down 90 cents to 160.27. March down 165 to 163.30. February hogs up $1.27 at 86.20, and April closed up 95 cents at 94.95.
Also got his
You can't say that.
And now here's a testimonial from Donna, a 57-year-old patient at Active Health Clinics.
I used to go to bed and couldn't sleep because of terrible knee and shoulder pain. Some shots helped for a while, but the pain always came back, and the effects of the shots were causing damage to my joints. Thankfully, I found out about Active Health joint injections. My pain is gone and being corrected, not damaged with pain blockers. Best of all, no more sleepless nights. Thank you, Active Health, for helping me live my best life.
Watching TaxSlayer calculate your refund feels like flying the apex of a roller coaster
First, we're just going to talk about what's going on this week.
Yep.
and flying down the tracks
I want to say something.
at maximum refund speed. File for free with TaxSlayer Simply Free and get your guaranteed maximum refund.
No, not that.
File free.
Whatever he said is wrong.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
Your microphone is on over there, Brian.
Mike.
Mike. You see, when the voice comes on and says, Michael Devine, the mayor of Mandel, the microphone is open. Because we're gonna go to air here.
We don't hear anything.
I know you don't. I know. Anyway, Senator Tim Kreinberg is in the studio along with Representative Ann Meyer. I'm delighted to see you both. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
That was a stupid question.
What a moron.
Well, I think you should have said it, though. I think you both should have said it. Thank you very much. Okay, I got these two dummies on. So,
We can hear you.
no.
Hey, as soon as that check stops depositing in our bank accounts, we're done.
Is that it? You're done?
Yeah, they're done.
No, it's great to have you all here. These two may be the other than Scrapster. These two might be the smartest ones. The Scrapster got to admit. I haven't talked to Scrapster.
You are trying everything to get him back, aren't you?
No, he's been on. He's been on a couple of times. We kissed and made up. Now,
Did you?
there were no tongues involved. We kissed. And as a matter of fact, we had to go over to his breakfast. Where was that? Jolly?
Jolly. When is that?
I don't know.
I think they're done aren't they done in November? I think they were done in November, maybe not.
Maybe
I have to ask him. Have him call in and tell us.
Yeah. Well, you might be listening. I don't know.
Have him text you.
Scrapster 955-1400. Anyway. So what happened down in the Senate this week?
The Senate, last week, that we talked about, we got a lot of formalities and the speeches, and this week we pretty much got to work. We've had tons and tons of subcommittees and committees, and we're moving bills through, and probably won't be long before we'll actually be on the floor as well. But usually at this time, we are on the floor because next week we have one of the premier receptions, which is the optometrists, and they have a great spread there. And the nice thing is, the last couple of years, the House has been in debate the whole time until like 9:30 at night, and we got to eat all the food because the House never shows up. So it's like, I hope they're in debate on Tuesday night again, so we get all the food.
So what I'm hearing is Senator Kreinberg admitting the House works harder.
Well, that could be. That could be one way
I
to
think most of their time is spent in caucus.
You think so?
Well, the other side puts them in caucus. They put them in timeout, I think, is what happens.
Well, Scrapster, I watched some time on the site at what the House whatever it is. And I never seen the Scrapster.
That's because he's out with somebody. He's the whip.
He's the whip.
Yeah.
Scraps from the whip.
He's whipping people
I
into
like
shape.
that. God, that's a perfect job. That's just the breath. I wish I could be down there every day so I could see the whip because I know
We should call him a shocker because then we can have one of those.
cattle
Oh, you
rods.
can't have those anymore, can you?
Cattle rods.
Yeah, I don't think you
No,
can use
that's
those
why I
anymore.
stopped calling them hogs. I had to start coaxing them while they truck. And they didn't want to get off very bad
Sweet
anyway.
corn cups.
Yeah,
What would you use?
I can have a little paddle. Please get off. Please get off. No, no. The people that make those rules don't understand animals at all. Hogs ain't gonna go anywhere voluntarily.
So anyway, we've been busy in committees and we're doing a hybrid this year, which allows senators and lobbyists to show up in person if they'd like, or they would be able to attend online. So that's kind of nice because I think there's people that are able to watch the subcommittee and committee meetings that normally probably wouldn't go, because it does take a special trip in maybe for a 15-minute bill. Subcommittees, the public is allowed to talk or ask questions or give their point of view, and then when it moves to committee, then that's pretty much just done by the legislatures, and then the questions and so on are asked to each other by each other, and then we either vote yes or vote no, and then that moves to the floor, and then whenever it's time and the leaders want to bring it to the floor, then that's when we start voting on these bills. So
I'll ask a quick question on that. Does the Senate allow, we also have our subcommittees and committee online.
Mhm.
Do you allow input from the Zoom participants?
Yep. We ask everybody to raise their hand on Zoom and their name.
Oh, you can go on Zoom
And
now.
a hand goes up, and then if there's a subcommittee you're interested in, you could Zoom in on that and ask questions to the legislature from here.
Wow.
Home.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, how do you access that site?
Through the legislature site.
Yeah.
There'll be a list of subcommittees.
And there's a Zoom option there
Yep.
somewhere.
Yep.
Yep, there'll be a Zoom link. I will say the House does not do that. We Zoom everything, but you have to be in person to participate and vote.
And we've had last year for the first week, we were all surprised at some of the things we saw on Zoom. And I think that probably is the reason why there were some inappropriate things happening. I think people just were trying to punk the system. And
Well, you've heard of Jeffrey Tubin. That actually happened in, I
Yeah.
think, the Senate.
yeah, it happened
So-
on one of our first Zooms. So people were exposing themselves on.
Representatives and senators from the state of Iowa?
No,
The public.
This would be like,
Because Tubin exposed himself.
it would be not like you, but if you were zoomed in and did something crazy, it would be on there.
Okay.
And so they kind of limited some of that. I think they took their pictures down and they only had their names and then their voice if you asked a question. So if you started to talk, we wouldn't see your picture. We would just see your name, and you could introduce yourself to who you are, and then you could ask your question and then listen. But usually it showed an actual Zoom, and that's where we got in trouble with somebody was punking. I mean, they did it on purpose, of course, to try to embarrass all of us,
Yeah.
the system. And
Yeah.
so then, of course, we have to correct things to make it so that it's legitimate, that they can't do those things.
It's amazing how the internet has turned otherwise reasonable adults into infants.
Yeah.
Just
Crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it punked us, all right. So.
I talked with Brooke Bickford earlier today about Adam Schiff and who else it was? I can't remember. But if I was in school with Adam Schiff, I'd beat the hell out of him every day. just because I was a bully. Hey, you! Hey, Adam! Get on off that jungle jump!
You know what, Mike? I bet you talk big talk. When you were there, you were probably the sweetest little boy ever.
No, I wasn't. I really wasn't. I mean, the nuns tried to straighten
Are
me
any
out.
of them still alive so we can check the story out?
Yeah. First of all, I don't know what story you're talking about. I wasn't in school with Adam Schiff.
Like beating people up.
Oh,
Okay?
beat people up on it. I got beat up.
You got your lunch money taken?
No. I didn't do that. No, you're not getting my lunch. But you beat up people in Polina.
No.
Huh?
No.
Come on,
I
guys.
didn't, and I never got beat up.
I believe you never got beat up.
And I didn't beat anybody else up.
Are you sure?
No, I'm positive.
For for any reason.
I was a runner. If stuff happened, I was not there anymore. I don't know if my mom and dad taught me that.
So you'd rather be known as somebody who was chicken?
I don't
and
really
ran?
care.
You don't?
No.
Right.
I mean, look at what I'm called today. I mean, who cares, right?
What do you get called a lot?
Yeah, you probably call me this.
I do not. I'm totally in support. I describe you as a friend and a great senator all the time.
No, those type of things don't bother me.
Okay.
No.
But you ran when you were a kid.
I didn't run. I just didn't get involved. And something has happened. I just left.
You just left.
I didn't instigate it and then leave. I just, when things were happening, I just got out of there. And it's the way I think my parents taught us.
So to prove myself to you, I have to go to Washington, D.C. and beat the hell out of you. Then you say I'm a man.
I would go for a living on that actually talk to you.
Those girls I would like to beat up. I would have liked to beat up the nuns, but it was not allowed. And I was too small anyway. Besides, they had big rulers. They were about 2 feet thick.
Big paddles.
Yes, they did. So what else happened in the house?
The house this week, it's funny, Senator Kramer says we spend a lot of time in the caucus. We really didn't have a lot of time in caucus this week. So I think we met briefly once this week. That was it. We have a ton of bills coming through, and just like Tim said, we had subcommittees all week, and we start in human resources anyway. We'll start running bills on Tuesday. So really, everyone's just working to get their priorities through.
One of the things with being in an off year, you know, I mean, last year was an election year, and then so this year is this legislative session is an off year, and the bills that were still alive at the end of last year pour into this year. So if there were bills that were written that weren't acted on, they're still considered alive, meaning that we bring them up and do subcommittees on them again, or whatever needs to happen. You don't have to rewrite those bills. You know, we just continue on like it was one long year. And so then after this year, though, anything that's not done by the second funnel, and also, you know, by the closing day, because some stuff that isn't done by second funnel still gets moved into appropriations. You know, my area, very few. You know, I would say the last couple of years, we've probably taken, and a lot of people call that pork, or, you know, the pork stuff, or special favors for certain senators or representatives. I would, you know, in the 8 years now that I've been there, I would say the last couple of years have been the lowest, very, very low amount of pork and special interest stuff has happened. Usually it's just okay, if we want this done, we got to sneak it in there, you know. And so then my job's hard, because when I run it on the floor, I got to try to explain all this stuff, you know, why it's there. I get questioned on it. Well, if we don't have anything special in there, my job at the end of the year is super easy, because basically there's nothing in there but the major appropriation, the standing bill usually. And so that makes my job a lot easier when we don't have, you know, these special little things. And I think the Iowans like that, because it's more transparent and we're not trying to hide stuff, you know, that's in there. Not say that we did that on purpose, but, you know, I think 3 years ago, we lost funding for the North Junior High.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, we had to call Debbie Durham up, and Debbie said, yes, I dropped the ball on that. You know, we should have had that done. So Republicans went to the Democrats and say, hey, can we get this done? Well, there were 3 things that they wanted done in the same exact way. So they were things that had dropped in their areas that should have been done. And the monies were about the same, and they were charted to be done anyway. So that was put in the appropriation bill just at the last minute.
Right.
You know,
are you talking about Old South Junior High?
North.
North Junior High.
Remember that was being into apartments?
Yeah.
Well, this was 3 years ago before the finishing stages, and there was grant money there that almost $1 million that wasn't going to come unless we acted.
Yeah.
And that could have broke that deal. I mean,
Yeah.
$1 million
Oh,
is
yeah.
$1 million.
Yes, it is.
So for us, it was a good thing. I know our you know, Dennis and everybody who was at the, you know, Growth Alliance was very thankful that all got done. And Randy Feenstra actually is who I had to go to.
That's right,
to get
Feenstra,
that done.
my man.
Yeah.
Like Randy. I got to get him back on the air. Yeah, you're going to say something again?
So some of our policy bills, why there's still a lot, if we pass a policy bill through committee, but if there's any type of funding attached to it, like let's say this, these medical residencies that we want to establish, that will, I have no doubt that that will, it's already passed subcommittee without change, we'll get it through committee, but because there's funds attached to it, that health policy bill also has to go through appropriations, because it just can't be like, I said it's okay and we can spend the money. We have another committee that determines, which is the appropriations committee. So it still has to be okayed by another committee before it can even get to.
Anything with money has to come to appropriation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Luckily, I sit on the appropriations committee now, and so I can lobby for these bills. I don't have to go to another representative who may not be on human resources and say, you know, I can lobby that in the appropriations committee. So, but yeah, we can't pass any bills just through a policy committee. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You can pass policy, but not expenses.
Right.
And you have to go to Big Daddy over here before you get any appropriations or not.
I like
the chair.
I like to keep him informed of
You keep him informed?
our priorities.
Well, they have their Big Daddy too. So
Yeah.
we both have Big Daddies, and so the Big Daddies come together, and that's where we arm wrestle and negotiate. And so when all the asks come in,
Right.
he takes his and I take mine. A lot of it's already agreed upon. You know, a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of wiggling on a lot of those areas. And then what happens is that, you know, the two of us come together, and then we put down the things we agree on, and then we negotiate the things we don't. You know, you want this, we want this, you know, and we have pretty much agreed on an amount that we're going to spend too. So within the amount that we're going to spend, you know, we have to make everything work, you know, within that. You know, and this year there's going to be some, you know, even though we have a large amount of money on hand, there's a lot of it we have to set over to the side due to our tax, you know, our tax reform bill. You know, that is like already taking all that money off the table and giving it to Dan Dawson and now your
Lee Hine.
Lee Hine. And, you know, they're going to work with that amount of
Now,
money.
Dan Dawson is who, please?
Dan is the chair of the Ways and Means in the Senate, and Lee Hine is in the House. So they're working on the tax bill
Okay.
together, to them and the governor.
But the thing though, I'm happy about, and I think that Webster County should be happy about, because we are well represented, and I have brought Tim in from the beginning on all of our mental health. So when he gets this bill, when he gets these this information over at the Senate, they won't be a surprise to him. So
And plus, there's also a Health and Human Services, you know, appropriation committee. So when they're allotted so much money, you know, then they have to prioritize with the two chairs in that House and the Senate, and they have to come to an agreement. And that's where a lot of Ann's stuff will be funded through, you know. And the only way more would be funded if they came back to us and said, hey, we need more money. And then if we've already spent it all we're agreed upon, we have to take it from somewhere else and then give it to the Health and Human Services for them to spend. So it's kind of like kids asking for allowance when they go out, you know, on Friday night or Saturday night, you know, if they do that anymore. But you know, you get this much, and all of a sudden, yeah, but we can't do this unless we have more. And then so we have to go to the other brother and say, are you using all yours tonight? Because your sister would like it, you know.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the things that we do. That's the financial part that I do. I don't do a lot of policy, and does more policy, and I am on the education committee, so I do some policy, but that's the only other committee I'm on. So
You must be the only Republican on the education committee.
no,
No, I know. I know you're not. Since the Republicans control the House and the Senate.
right,
Yeah.
we have a majority on both
Yeah.
those committees. Yeah,
Right. Who's the chair of education?
Amy Sinclair is in ours.
and Justin Height is
Yeah.
in ours. Yep.
Who's the appropriations chair in the House?
Gary Miller, he's out of Davenport.
Gary's out of Davenport.
Gary's been there for quite a while.
Has he? Yeah. Some of the legislators, you know, I try to keep track of the legislators every year. Some come and go, of course.
Sure.
He's been in that spot for quite a while too.
Very more.
Yeah.
Well, he took over. Grassley was the
Right,
chair
when he
of
came,
appropriations.
when Grass went up to the
So when he,
speaker, then
right.
Gary took over.
Okay. All right. This is AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge. My guests are Senator Tim Greenbrick and Ann Meyer. Representative Ann Meyer, if you have a question or comment, 955-1400. We'll be back after the news.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
It's 329.
The North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste
Did you want to
Agency
say
accepts
something?
appliances.
Yes, did
Bring
you
your
want to talk to me about
microwaves,
that Governor
stoves,
comment?
refrigerators,
Yes, I
freezers,
do.
washers, dryers, water heaters,
Well,
furnaces, and
okay,
air
go ahead.
conditioners to the landfill for
I was
just
just scrolling
$10
on
each.
Facebook
Some
and
of
I
these
saw
items
Governor
contain
Reynolds
hazardous chemicals,
say
and metal
something
can be
about,
recycled indefinitely.
really,
So let's keep the
supporting
environment
parents.
safe
And
and
then I
save our
saw
landfills.
this terrible
Your
comment
old
like,
appliances
you
off at the
saw-
landfill
you're from
Monday through Friday from
taking
7:30
care
till
of
the
4.
trash.
It's
Why
from
aren't
7:30
you-
till noon.
why
Get
aren't
more
you
information
supporting
at
what Jake Chapman said? And you know what?
ncirswa.org.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
And I might
I
have.
kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at
Yeah, she was
identifyepi.com
initially.
and schedule a visit or call with your doctor. I have EPI.
Sponsored by AbbVie.
It sounded like to me, she was backing off quite a
Anytime,
bit.
anywhere,
Well,
on Odyssey.
I like Governor
Your new
Reynolds.
audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's KUT.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
I think is what.
For KVFD News, I'm Brooke Bickford. A bill eligible for debate in the Iowa Senate would ensure the State Board of Health has sole authority for adding to the list of required vaccinations for children enrolled in Iowa schools or child care centers. The bill would prohibit school or city officials from requiring that children be vaccinated against COVID before they may return to local schools in the fall.
Why did
If the State Board of Health were to require COVID shots, Republican Senator Tim Brink says he
Chapman
would
is
be able
right,
to
there
opt
is
out if that
something
happens.
sinister going
The bill
on.
also provides that medical and
And I
religious
can't, and then Lynn Martin
Ames.
But how
apply
many times
still
have I
during
said
times of
that
emergency
we're
and
blessed here to have
epidemic.
schools
Under
open?
current law, the State Board of Health can deny all exemptions from childhood vaccinations
But there
during
are
public
schools
health
out there,
emergencies.
and if
The bill
we
cleared
had-
the Senate Education
had
Committee
a-
unanimously. The
a
Fort Dodge City
survey
Council
done,
meets on Monday
how
night
many
to continue
parents
budget
would
discussions
go
and
for
to share some
pornographic
information on
material in
broadband.
school
Monday,
libraries?
prior to the regular council meeting, a
how many
broadband
parents would
workshop
say
will be
yes?
held beginning at 5 in council chambers.
Well,
According
yeah,
to
there
City
would be.
Communications
There'd be
Manager
some.
Amanda Holmes,
Just
there
because-
will be
just because we
representatives
don't
on
want it.
hand to answer questions
Well,
and to speak on the
Andy
updates
once
to the
described,
project. Officer
transgender
Bryce Presswood may soon be moving into a new position on the
said
Fort
was
Dodge
you
Police
were
Department,
discriminating.
the role
I don't
as
wanna
sergeant.
discriminate
His promotion will be confirmed
I'm
or
not
declined
promoting
on Monday
teaching
during the
of-
Fort Dodge
of
City
any
Council meeting.
sexuality in
Officer
school.
Presswood has
If
been
not,
a
that's
huge
a-
presence
You're
on the
saying you
board
wanna
and the
discriminate
community
against
since
anybody. I
beginning
would-
his career in law enforcement
Wait,
in
I-
Fort
That's all I'm
Dodge
saying.
in
But you're discriminating
2016.
against the ones
He is
that
currently
don't
working
want
in the Fort Dodge Senior High,
They don't
teaching
want it.
college level courses
So
to
you're-
students there.
You're
Newly
making
elected
people
City
accept
Council member
something
Connell
that-
McCaleb will
so
be
then
there
my
on Monday night,
answer
but
to
it
that would
won't be his first
let's go with
introduction to
another
Officer
choice word against
Presswood,
what-
as the two have been
something
working
like
together
that.
at the high
Because there
school
was
this
an
year.
incident here.
Councilman
Make it
McCaleb
very
says
easy.
this is an honor Officer
What's an
Presswood
incident here
deserves,
now where
but he will be missed at the
18-year-old
school.
He's done everything to earn it. So for that reason, I'm super happy for him. But also, I'm super sad that he's going to be leaving the high school in the relationship that he has built with these kids and some of the lives that he has changed just talking to the kids when they're at their in crisis mode or even when they're at their happiest, laughing and giggling with kids. I mean, that's something that these kids need to see that officers are. They're just not people behind badges and a uniform. They are human.
If he's confirmed, Presswood will be stepping into the position formerly held by Sergeant Evan Thompson, who left the force Wednesday as he accepted a job with the DCI. From the Jerry Sheeter newsroom, I'm Brooke Bickford. Here's the AM 1400.
Forecast. Partly cloudy this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 18. Southerly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Chance for snow tonight. Lows dip down to about 10 above. Overcast skies. Daytime highs approaching 24. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun. About an inch of snow tonight through tomorrow night. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jen.
That's right.
Currently, it's 15.
Yes, Tim, and I can retire.
You know what? I
You
would
always
just,
are thinking
I would
that.
just say
Quarter at 616 and a
there
quarter.
shouldn't be a protected
Corn up
class.
and a quarter at 640.
Everybody should be
July
protected.
up 2 cents to 608 and a half.
Including the unborn.
September up 2 and a quarter, 78 and a half. March soybeans down
exactly the same.
half of 14
I think so.
quarter. May
That's
down
what we've gotten away from. When you start putting
14.23.
special classes out
May
there,
down 11 and a half.
somebody is worth more than
7
somebody
and a
else.
quarter. August beans down 3/4 of $14 per penny. March soybean meal down 8.10 a ton at $3.92.70. February live cattle down 40 cents at $137.92. April down 107 at $142.10. January feeder cattle down 90 cents, $160.27. March down 165 at $163.30. February lean hogs up $1.27 at $86.20, and April up 95 cents at $94.95. From the farm desk, I'm Dwayne Moore.
I forgot to put the tagline.
What is certified Angus beef? I'm Amy Simpson with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Carol Lee, Assistant Director of Producer Engagement with Certified Angus Beef, says the brand delivers the best Angus beef to meet consumer demand.
We've been incredibly encouraged over the last couple of years about the strength of consumer demand for high quality beef, even throughout the pandemic.
To earn the Certified Angus Beef brand name, cattle must be Angus influenced with a predominantly solid black coat. Then, cattle have to pass 10 quality standards.
The specification that we talk about the most is marbling. And it's not because we're encouraging cattlemen to be single trait selecting for marbling alone. We know that they've got to have good maternal cows back at the farmer ranch. So they've got to have longevity within the cow herd. We talk about marbling so much because it's the number one specification that Angus influenced cattle miss when they're considered for the brand. It's the number one place where producers are leaving money on the table because they missed out on that certified Angus beef premium. So we talk about marbling a lot because it's that number one spec that's missed, but it's also a very highly heritable trait. Obviously, there's a lot of from an environmental and a nutrition side of things that influence that overall quality product.
The white flex in beef is peak flavor. Certified Angus beef are flavorful, tender, and juicy because of the high amounts of
So she didn't say anything to me on
marbling.
that, but then
I'm
there's
Amy
a scary
Simpson,
bill, and then they
Healthy
had
Living
me-
on Brownfield.
As a truck driver, I've learned how important road safety is. I know that large trucks need more time and room to stop. That's why I always hang back and follow other vehicles at a safe distance. Everyone can help keep our roads
No, they
safe.
just twist
Next
it.
time you're driving, try to remember to always give trucks extra space when you merge in front of them. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I did that with
Hi, I'm Adam. Lauren, my wife, was having trouble and her speech slurred and her face drooped. Stroke seemed so unlikely. She was only 30. I had to react immediately. I called 911 and Lauren quickly received medical attention. Now we don't take anything for granted, especially spending time together as a family. Looking back, I'm so grateful I didn't hesitate to call 911. A quick reaction can make all the difference. Learn signs of stroke. Visit strokeawareness.com.
Sponsored by Genentech and MEEMT.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Back to Dan Meyer and Tim Cranbrook in just a moment. We're the program brought to you by Blue Ribbon Pelham Motors today, 612 South 32nd Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Motors by calling 576-6481 or online at www.ftwater.com.
Grief is a natural part of life.
As hard as it is, we must find ways through it and not around it. We at Gunderson's help guide families through one of life's most difficult times, the death of a loved one. We are here to listen, hear your stories, and help create healing ceremonies, the first step in acknowledging and honoring your grief. We provide options, support, and answer questions when you need us most. The journey of grief is not one to walk alone. Gunderson's is here for you.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD, banging Monday through Friday from 2 to 5.
All right. We're back with Senator Tim Kreinbrink and Representative Ann Meyer. By the way, we're back on StreamYard. You can access StreamYard by going to my Facebook page or the radio station Facebook page, which is AM 1400 KVFD, or Alpha Media, or the Alpha Media website. If you go there, you'll be able to see Ann Meyer's great haircut from the back. It's really good. You have hair. By the way, Tim Kreinbrink announced in the last segment that I'm the biggest wimp who ever lived and couldn't fight my way out of the bag. I'll just admit it.
A wet paper bag.
Wet paper bag. Anyway, I think you laid out what was happening this week in the State House pretty well. And I would like to get back to Governor Reynolds and her. Well, first of all, we will talk about Governor Reynolds and Senator Chapman. Does Governor Reynolds, do you believe, support Senator Chapman's remarks on what's being taught in our schools?
You want to start?
Sure, I do.
Okay.
I listened to the governor's speech. I read what I didn't listen to what Senator Chapman said, but Governor Reynolds is for parental involvement, for parental transparency in schools. And I think she laid out a pretty good plan in her Condition of the State speech.
I talked with Jake Hall, the guy was in our online magazine. And Jake is even more conservative than I am. But Jake and I talked about the problem with pushing back on cultural changes that are, let me say, inappropriate. He said, and I agree with him, that the real problem, why we can't get more forceful action is the Republican Party. There are factions in every party. I mean, the Democratic Party looks like the bar scene from Star Wars. And there is a country club faction, what I call a country club faction, in the Republican Party that doesn't want to mess around with these issues at all. You remember Terry Branstad. Terry Branstad was famous for getting rid of or pushing back on the very idea that the Republicans should be involved with cultural issues. And it appears that there are some in the Republican Party that don't want anything to do even with what's being taught in really pornographic material in the schools. Would you agree with that or not? That some of the Republicans are the real problem?
I would totally disagree with that.
All right.
I think if you look at the track record over the last 4 years of what the House and the Senate have done with the governor, I couldn't disagree more. There's nothing that we haven't went face first into, no matter how uncomfortable it makes anybody feel. We don't shy away from anything, Mike. I mean,
I know you two don't.
No, but
but
neither do our caucuses. Our caucuses are on board with this. Basically, and I said this when we were talking off air. If what Senator Chapman said was that there's a sinister agenda out there, there is. Why? Last year, we passed a law that stated that if CRT was instructed in our public schools, that they would lose funding. Well, we don't just make up that law. Why in the governor's speech were there 23 people sitting up in the corner of the crow's nest up there that were from Pella, that were the ones that fought back with having these books in the school library? This is Pella.
Somebody tried to put those books in a Pella school library?
They like the big shock factor, and it's no different than the 14-year-old that went there and didn't wear a top at the, school. That was in Pella.
That was in Pella.
So they want to go places where they shock you the most.
Yes, they do.
They want to go to the conservative areas that they legally they probably can do that because we haven't passed laws that, Pella community could probably try to fight this in the court that this is not right, but they're probably going to lose until we make put law into place, to protect them. They have something to stand on. And so why would we be passing laws like this if there wasn't that agenda out there? I've said thousands of times, and Representative Myers is with me on this. I know she is. We live in a district, not only with Fort Dodge, but the surrounding district that I represent, that I don't have to worry about that. It's great to be down there and have people that are, parents that are active, parents that are great parents on school boards, no hidden agendas, everything's out in the open. But there are schools out there, Mike, that take every chance they can to get under the governor and the law's craw in the state of Iowa. And Chapman isn't talking about the ones that are good, which is 99.9%.
Right.
And he didn't say every teacher had this.
I know that.
But
I know that
our media comes in, and our media paints a broad picture. So then we get calls from people and emails from people saying, denounce Senator Chapman's comments. Denounce, are you going to denounce the comments? And I would say, did you read them or did you hear them? What part of that do you not agree with? What part do you not agree with? Well, no, I haven't read or heard them. I just heard on the news. Well, if you're on the news, then there's part of the problem. Okay, now I'm not saying all news outlets are that way either, but there are some that are. And unless you tell the whole truth in context and don't just take a little bit out of it, you're not getting the whole truth.
That's right.
And so, you know what? We can defend or try to defend Senator Chapman said what we did. And I think today he stands by it. And he will not back down off of it.
No, he won't.
And I think he's admirable for doing that because he didn't paint a broad brush. The media painted a broad brush.
Well, there are those in the media who want to see our state radically change. Or they just want to make the Republican Party look bad. And you're right. I understand.
It makes a real good news clip.
Well, Tim, we can only report what we see at times. Now, I want to tell you this, and no offense against Senator Chapman at all. When I first saw what Senator Chapman's remarks, I thought, well, this is something that the Republicans really don't like to push at these cultural issues. And Senator Chapman is coming out and saying this very boldly as we open up the session to kind of set the tone.
To shock everybody like they shocked.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was, and then at the end of the session, nothing will be done. Nothing will be done. Senator Chapman's going to get everybody excited, like, oh my God, we're going to get something done now on these issues. And then,
we pass bills.
Okay.
That's our job.
Like Senator Heinrich said, that was one of the first bills we passed was the anti-divisive concept bill. And
this year, you talking about
last year. And the reason we did that is because that was happening, and that was happening in the Ames School District. They were brought to the Capitol for the Government Oversight Committee, and when we are literally teaching someone starts from a better or worse place just because of the color of the skin or where they came from, that's wrong. We are setting our children up for failure when we do that. So that was passed last year. I know that there's been other legislation and a lot more coverage across the country, but actually Iowa was one of the first states that did that.
Okay.
And I agree with that. Again, I think everyone should be treated equal.
Well, I do too. But the devil's in the details. And we'll have to work on that a little bit. I mean, we got just a few minutes left. So somebody's texting me here. Oh yeah, okay. That's Devin Mulholland. He can't make it to the sports show. I thought it was somebody important.
You're going to have to bring a left-handed reliever.
Yeah, I guess so. Now you want everybody to be treated equally, and so do I.
Well,
this is a moral issue.
We're talking about the school. We're talking about we were talking about the divisive context steps and what's also known as CRT.
Mm-hmm.
No one should be going into our kids' classrooms and saying, one person is better or one person is worse
And
because
this
of
is
the
why.
color of their skin. And that's why we passed that.
Well, that's, yeah. CRT is racist, frankly. It is.
I agree.
I read a lot about it in the last year, and from the original founding intellectuals who put CRT together back in the 70s, it's a racist program.
I mean, the Senate passed a heartbeat bill.
The Senate passed a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, how as soon as the heartbeat starts, I'd like to pass a conception bill.
Yeah.
I mean, and we would if we could get it done. We have. So
well, the Supreme Court's headed that way.
But it was struck down in the courts. And so until we get the court to the spot where we are, then we keep passing it and getting it struck down all the time. It's not that we don't take on tough issues. I mean, we do, and we would have no problem taking on any issue that you're alluding to at all.
And I'm going to, just because of the person who's talking to you, who's feeding you this information.
There's more than one.
Well, there's a big one though. That divides the party, and really we should be united in what we're doing, because we are, we're doing great things. And when you try to divide a party that is working together because they're not Republican enough for you, you're going to divide the party, and then you're going to lose that seat.
Well, Rush Limbaugh used to say he wasn't a Republican; he was a conservative, and that's the way I've described it myself.
Right.
I'm a conservative, and many others are too. I usually support the Republican Party, but not always.
Right.
I'm kind of an independent thinker in that way, because the Democrats are so crazily partisan. I sometimes wonder if they can talk to each other without saying the same thing to each other over and over again all the time. But on the issue of CRT, I would agree with you that we all want to treat people equally, and we have no time for discrimination on the basis of race or a number of other things. However, the transgender thing, we're talking about identity itself. And apparently, according to some Democrats and some sociologists, there are 46 different identities out there now. 46. So this is what we're up against. And of course, the old canard is brought out immediately. If you're not on board with the transgender lifestyle or acceptance, in some cases of the most bizarre examples of the transgender lifestyle, then you are a bigot of some sort. Now, the Republicans and conservatives in general have to be immune from that. They have to, and I don't think remaining silent is the way. And here's what I tell people who call me that: you're a liar, flat out. And I've read enough about transgender, the origins of transgender rights in the United States, to understand that this is not a scientific certainty. This is something that was cooked up by, guess again, sociologists, but there is no real scientific, data point driven proof that you can think you're a man if you're a woman or vice versa. So they don't have the facts on their side. So we should have powerful arguments in that regard.
Right.
And they are lying when they call us a bigot.
Yeah, I mean that's their go-to.
Yeah, that's always their go-to.
I mean,
they think the argument's over.
And,
They think the argument's over when we say that.
Right.
When they say that, excuse me.
One of the things too that I want to address that I know we talked about earlier, that you had a person on the radio that was asking about the Senate's decision to actually move the media.
Oh yeah, well, that was
first row of the balcony.
Right.
The thing is, there's several reasons why this happened. First of all, with the ongoing expansion of media, bloggers, media outlets, there's a whole bunch of different areas that call themselves media now. We have a limited amount of seats down there. And so rather than us, which the majority party is in charge of picking who goes in those seats, okay, rather than us doing that and leaving someone out, we just said no one's going to be down there, and you go up into the first, second row of the balcony. Now, the cameras over the last 8 years that I've been there, we're always in the front row. So if you've got one of the major stations out of Des Moines.
Yeah.
There with a live camera or a recorded camera they're going to put on the news at 6 o'clock. They're in the first row up at the top. And last year, because of COVID, nobody was allowed on the floor. Okay, so everybody was up there. Not once did I hear that the media felt because they were up there, they didn't have total access to the senators for interviews or statements. Okay, but now all of a sudden, because nothing's changed, we kept them up there. And by the way, we've got COVID running rapid through the Iowa Senate, and I'm not sure about the House, but yesterday there were probably 22 people gone yesterday of senators. Okay. And so that isn't the reason why we don't have them down there. But the reason is there's too many outlets that we don't have enough room for everybody. So rather than us feel we stay or go through and feel who we think needs or deserves to be down there, we wanted them up in that first row. It's 10 feet up from where they would be. They have total capability to listen to everything that's said. Matter of fact, they could stay home and watch it online and have a front row seat. Not even from where, which I think a lot of them did last year. The only reason why some of them would come is because they wanted a live shot, to go on to the 6 or the 10 o'clock news. So, you know what, it's another attempt. And I get emails and I get calls that say, how can you kick the media out? And they're going to do this behind closed doors. Okay, number one is, how did you find this out? And they'll say, well, to the media. I said, well, apparently the media's not out. Because if they reported that we kicked them out, they're still there. Not only that, but they still didn't tell you the truth anyway. Because they said we kicked them out and they're still in the chamber. So, you know what, it is what it is. It's another thing that they can come back and say, oh, here's another thing the Senate's doing to push the weight around. No, had nothing to do with it.
Is Cranberry trying to wreck me here today? I mean, he's bombing the media right and left. Who does he think I am?
I don't look at his media.
I'm just a guy down the street.
No, seriously, I don't look at his media.
Well, don't curl your lip when you say that. Jesus.
That's good that they can't see my lip.
First it was I was a wimp in the first segment, and now, hey, he is media pal. Are we having a bad day over there?
I must be.
Tim Cranbrook and Meyer are here. Representative Ann Meyer are here. We're running out of time. So if you do have a question or comment, it's 955-1400. Of course, I always want to bring up the teachers union because that's where all the attention. The teachers union seems to get all the attention at each legislative session. I know you guys do a lot, and you're here to be commended for all your work on mental health, and we certainly need to keep moving in that direction. But really, it seems to be a long, drawn-out battle. The teachers always want more pay. The education establishment wants more money every single session. And is this going to be another one of those sessions where that happens? Are we going to give up more money to the teachers union?
Yes, they're.
Yeah, we're going to give it up.
I mean, I think in a way you might be misleading a little bit because the teachers union really doesn't have any power. For us, I mean, for us down there.
Yeah.
We look at our teachers.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right. You're a teacher.
Yeah, and the superintendents and the school boards. Those are the ones that are asking us for the funds.
Okay.
And the Republican Party is funded probably higher than any other. I know they're funded higher than any other entity in the state of Iowa, but we've given them additional funds more than we've given any other entity in the state of Iowa, including healthcare. And so I think it's important that we continue to give them a sustainable amount of increased income because they have salary increases and they've got heat. Their heat bills are going up just like ours are. I mean, I'm sure yours went up.
Oh, you bet.
Pretty high. So we since Chet Culver was there in 2010 was the first time that actually teachers' pay and other public workers were cut. Ever since then, they had an increase in pay. So
that's right.
We've never cut teachers' pay when we've been in charge. So what you might some people may describe a cut as not as much as what they thought they should get. I mean, and that's true. And I can empathize with that. So.
Well, my heat bills have certainly gone up. Of course, I'm a wimpy guy. So.
Well, and I just want to tag on to that. In addition, from not cutting, we in the last 10 years, we've funded the schools at a higher level each year. Some people will, I always hear this argument, well, it hasn't outpaced inflation. Well, I gave you the numbers last week. Our funding has outpaced inflation. We have given more money than inflation, extra money that it has outpaced the inflationary rate. And I've got those numbers. I had them last week. But
and one of the things I think we should talk about next week is the worker shortage and the worker shortage even in our schools and our hospitals. And those are things that I thought the governor had some really pretty decent ideas in her speech. And those things are things that we should probably spend some time on next week.
I think you're right, Ann Meyer, Tim Cranbring. Thank you so much for being here. This is AM 1400 KVFD.
Puerto Rico is the new
Good
go-to
session.
destination for investment opportunities, and Beller is the new online. takes the guesswork out of investing in Puerto Rico, surfacing the insights you need to make informed decisions and empower your investment portfolio. Visit investpr.org/impeller and set up your account today to see what the island has to offer.
There you go.
Your hub for investment opportunities in Puerto Rico. Powered by Invest Puerto Rico.
And Randy Coolman talking sports at AM 1400 KVFD.
Well, actually, Kevin Mulholland is not here. He's meditating. So Randy Coleman's here. How you doing there, Randy?
I'm actually trying to stay warm. It's kind of a struggle these days.
Last few days, it's been a real struggle. I've hardly gone outside after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I did last night for a while because I needed a couple of things. Of course, I had to get groceries.
Right.
But other than that, I stayed pretty close to home. And I guess next week is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Of course, I was born in February, and February is just the worst month. It just sucks. It just really does. Can you move a little bit over there or back up or something, Randy? I'm having trouble getting you in the camera. Maybe that's the thing to do. I think this is the thing to do. Look out, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, if you have a question or comment, you can always go to StreamYard. There's a place there where you can leave a comment, and we'll talk about it on the air. A lot of things to talk about, of course. I do want to note that we have 2 Fort Dodge senior high graduates who are on the University of Iowa number 3 ranked wrestling squad. That would be Drew Bennett and Drake Ayala. A couple of fine young men. Drew transferred to the University of Iowa from UNI this past year. He's done a great job so far. And Drake, of course, is a freshman, and he's performed very well. We just got to figure out how to beat that McKinney kid from Minnesota. We'll figure that out.
They're representing the Fort Dodge in a very positive way.
They really are.
And Drew's wrestled a couple times, I think, and Drake's wrestled several times and done. Other than the kid from Minnesota, he's been upsetting people ranked higher than him, and he's moving up that ranking. So it's great to see him. I've watched him wrestle a couple of times. It's fun to watch him wrestle.
Drake especially, and Drake especially, he's almost deceives you. All of a sudden, he's got you. His attitude is kind of almost nonchalant, but he's cobra. Boom! All of a sudden, he's got you. And he's got those long arms, and he's a strong young man.
I watched him wrestle the kid from Minnesota the other day on TV, and I was amazed. The kid from Minnesota could really shoot well and get in there, but Drake was always able to work his way out of trouble. And sometimes when he does that, he can turn around and flip you around and get it and reverse it. But I was amazed at how he could really handle if he was in a disadvantaged position. He seemed to be always to get out of that trouble and get back in control again. As little as I know about wrestling, but I enjoy watching him wrestle.
Yeah.
And so that's fun. I mean, it's a big situation, because he's wrestling where Spencer Lee normally would wrestle.
Yes.
And
holding down that spot.
Holding down that spot. You bet.
All right. What the hell happened? And we talked about this all night. What the hell happened at the University of Iowa basketball game the other night? That was some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. That was a blow. There was a couple of blow.
Yeah. They had the layup at the end of the first half that they waved off with Tucson stealing the ball, going down and scoring. And that could have gone either way. I mean, it was, if you're a Hawkeye fan, you looked like it was that the ball was out of his hand before the shot clock went off. I suppose if you're a Rutgers fan, you thought it was the other way.
Yeah, sure.
And that call went against Iowa. But the call at the end of the game was, that official should be suspended for that. He just gave the game to Rutgers.
He did.
First of all, it was not even a foul. Secondly, you don't call a foul with 2 seconds left unless it's a blatantly obvious foul, which that was not. That was pathetic, especially in light of the fact that the officials had let the game go all day long. The whole game was a slugfest. It was a defensive battle. It was so physical, and there was a million fouls they could have called that they didn't call. They were just going to let it go. And that's why the game was played in the 40s, for crying out loud. And Iowa was one of the leading scoring teams in the country. This game was being played in the 40s, and then they call a cheap foul at the end of the game, and that's pathetic. And then, and my Cyclone friends will remind me about that Iowa State Kansas game where there was some real questionable calls, but especially the no call on a goaltending late in the game that gave Kansas took it 2 points away from Iowa State, and that was a 2-point game. So I mean that it's and sometimes you can get bad calls on the road in particular, but when they're obvious, that's what really makes you scratch your head. Is when they're, it's like, how could they miss that call, or how could they make that call? Sometimes it just boggles your mind, and you start getting into these conspiracy theories about the game being rigged or something.
Well, several years ago, many years ago now, at least 10 years ago, I went down. I took some high school friends of mine, and they were living in the Ames area. Well, he was one of the guys was who you traumatized in high school. What I mean by that, one of my friends was defensive back for Algonquin High School, and Randy Coolman then was a high school senior quarterback for Humboldt Wildcats, and he threw a pass over my friend's head for a touchdown, and my friend is 70 years old, and he's still freaked about it.
Is he out of therapy?
I think he is.
Okay, good.
A great guy. But anyway, I took him and a couple other guys, and we went to an ISU Oklahoma game. And the referee robbed Iowa State of the game, and to make matters worse, he had a pronounced Southern accent and kind of an attitude too, like, hey, and Paul Rhodes was the coach. This is how long ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he just went off in the press conference. Later in the press conference.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that officiating crew was suspended for the rest of the year. But
well, at least he got suspended.
Yeah, I think that's what happened, or at least the next series of games, they were out. And I believe
I remember that.
Yeah, but it was just, again, Paul Rhodes, of course, he had struggled to keep emotions in check anyway. And he justifiably went off. So sometimes I do think human beings have bias. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and the standard rule in college basketball is to win on the road against a team of similar to yourself. You're going to have to spot them about 10 points. Really, I mean, they really feel like there's a 10-point advantage for the home team, just based on calls during the game that will go against you and in favor of the home team. It usually adds up to about a 10-point difference. So the feeling always is you got to beat them by more than 10 points to end up beating them on their home court. And I understand that you've got big crowds yelling at you, screaming at you. There's no question on subjective calls, especially like blocking calls versus charging calls. Those kind of very subjective calls that officials have to make in a split second. They more than likely go to the home team more than they go to the visitor. But there are some calls you just don't make. Most good officials will tell you that you don't make a foul call that's going to determine the outcome of a game in the last few seconds of a game, unless it's an obviously blatant foul. And for this guy to make a cheap call at the end of that Iowa Rutgers game, I think Big Ten should suspend that guy, because that's just uncalled for. That's just. And I know officials make mistakes. Don't get me wrong, but
they're human beings.
But
that
those
really
kind of
shady.
those kind of mistakes you can't let happen, because that's ridiculous.
Well, you can't allow it in the game, or you'll destroy the credibility of the game itself.
Right.
I mean, you can't do it.
But it's just, it's just one of those things. And the Hawkeyes have to move on. They play tomorrow against a pretty salty Penn State team at Iowa.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of games. They're going to be tough games, but you got to win them. You can't get beat by Penn State on your home court, or that's really going to hurt your chances with getting in the NCAA tournament.
I think the Iowa Wrestlers are good to Penn State, which Penn State, which is I think Penn State's rated number 1 or number 3.
They're 3 now?
Yeah, I believe they're 3.
They used to be 2.
Yeah, well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I read something 3 days ago, so my information might be dated, might be wrong. I depend on the audience to correct me, 955-1400, if I need to be corrected.
I'll correct you, because I think I was wrestling Ohio State this weekend.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a tough team. Yeah, they're playing Ohio State, right?
Yeah. What I saw on TV was Iowa was 2 and Ohio State was ranked 7th, I think, or 5th or 7th.
Yeah, that's Tom Ryan out there, the head coach of Ohio, Ohio State has really done a terrific job. And of course, he's a former Iowa wrestler.
Right.
He's one of the he's one of the coaches under the Gable tree.
Yep.
So he was quite the competitor in his day, and he's done an outstanding job with the Ohio State kids.
Yeah, and the Clones are playing TCU, which is kind of surprising in that TCU has a very, very good record. They only have a couple losses. Now, they haven't played a real tough schedule yet, but because going into the season, they were ranked at the bottom of the Big 12, along with Iowa State. And that Big 12 stuff, I mean, Iowa State is, believe it or not, they're in last place in the Big 12 right now. And they're ranked like
they are.
Yeah, but they're ranked 14th in the nation. I mean, it just gives you an idea how tough that Big 12 is right now, but they've had some tough losses, and they've had to play Baylor and Kansas and Texas Tech. And
I saw the Tech game.
Yeah, Texas Tech twice actually.
Yeah, they beat Tech the first time.
Right.
But as we discussed, Tech was missing a couple of key players. They had the whole show going on the second game. They beat the Clones, even though the first half was really tight.
Yeah,
but Tech kind of pulled away.
Yeah, they did. And Tech is really a good, great defensive team. Iowa State's a very good defensive team, and boy, they battle. When every possession is a difficult possession, and so. But Iowa State, I still think they're going to continue to get better because they're a younger team and they're.
You like their coach or not?
Oh yeah, Otzenberger's done. Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job, and he's notorious for being a great recruiter. But I'll tell you, he's changing that perception now because he's going to be labeled a great coach because of how Iowa State.
We know about that.
How Iowa State is playing. I mean, Iowa State's playing. Their defense is it's the best defensive team Iowa State has seen in decades, and so they're going to be very competitive, and I think you're going to see heck, that Big 12 champion might end up with 4 or 5 losses in the conference. Wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Baylor's already been beat twice. Kansas has been beat, and Kansas has won. When they win, it seems like it's always a real close game. So it's a lot of parity, quality parity in the Big 12. No question about that.
What happened to Steve Prohm anyway? I forget.
I don't know. I don't think he's landed the job yet, and I hope he does. I mean, Steve is, he had a very good record coming to Iowa State, and had a couple of good teams at Iowa State, and he's a good person. We talk to people around Ames.
I have met him a few times,
and he's really a quality person, family man, and I hope he lands on his feet and gets back, coaching position, gets a second chance at it.
If that's what he wants.
Yeah.
That's what he wants, I hope. He came in just gangbusters when he first started at Iowa State. I don't know what happened. He lost the.
And then the COVID year was just a horrendous year for him, and he had a difficult year the year before that too, I think, and he just kind of lost the momentum there, and.
I wonder how Fred Hoiberg's feeling about being in Nebraska now.
I like Fred. He's a quality person.
Another one.
But, I mean, not only is he losing, but in many cases, he's getting beat by 20 points.
Real bad.
And this is his third year there, I think it is. And so, what I'm hearing that but the thing he has going for him is that he's got a huge buyout. And Nebraska.
That's kind of what, what's his name? Scott Frost has.
Right. And Nebraska's kind of in a position now they're not wanting to keep paying these former coaches a lot of money. So he may get another shot at it. For another year and see what happens, but he's having a real tough year this year. He's at the bottom of the Big Ten and not even close to being next to the bottom. So,
it's just better.
I'm not sure. I don't think he's won a game in the Big Ten. So,
Nebraska fans are really disappointed in Frost and
Fred.
And I'm sorry. that Fred isn't doing well. I talked to Fred in my capacity as working here at the radio station. He was always very sensible, good guy. And everybody liked him. Everybody knew him fairly well. Everybody liked him, and he just stood by him. I understand he over the Bulls. He had to take a shot.
Right.
And that didn't work for him. But I wish he'd come back. He did it. You know.
Yeah, this coaching business, whether it's football, basketball, you name it, it's a tough business because everybody's trying to succeed and only a limited number can, because you're playing each other.
Yeah.
And so it's a tough business. But it's interesting. Nevin's buddy Joel Nardi, they call him Mr. Bracketology. He's already come out with his first projection of the NCAA tournament this year.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And right now, as it stands, based on teams' records and what have you, he's got Iowa State in the tournament. And he's got, this is just him talking, but he's got Iowa State as a 5 seed. He's got Iowa as a 7 seed. And interesting enough, this would be great. He's got Iowa in the first round playing Creighton.
Whoa!
That'd be fun.
No, that would be great.
He's got Creighton as a 10. And so that'd be fun if that would happen.
I caught a couple of great games. They're not bad.
They're good ball club.
Boy, I watched them play St. John's. I was texting with you guys. St. John's just sucks. What happened to them?
I don't know. You never know. They use a few players, player transfers, what have you. But Creighton's a good ball club. They're, the Big 12 or Big East is a tough league, but they're very, very competitive. They're a tough out, and they played DePaul Saturday, and I just saw somewhere on the internet that evidently Coach McDermott's got COVID, so he's not going to be on the bench tomorrow with the Creighton Blue Jays when they play DePaul. So this COVID thing, it's getting. There's a couple Big Ten games now that have been postponed that were supposed to be played tomorrow. So it's starting to spread, and it'll be interesting to see how this impacts teams and their schedules. And you may get lucky and go in and play somebody, and their 2-star players are out with COVID. So you just don't know. It's
this COVID.
Yeah, it's going to have an impact on games and the schedule and all that sort of thing. So we'll have to see how that all plays out.
All right, Randy Kuhlman is our guest. We're talking sports, and we'll be back.
Michael Devine, Nevin Mulholland, and Randy Kuhlman talking sports at AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 429 news coming up.
Would you like job security along with great pay and benefits?
Right,
Panagold, the bakers of Country Heart Bread products, offers a starting wage of over $20 an hour, medical and dental coverage, paid holidays, retirement funding, and opportunities for growth and advancement. Panagold has many positions throughout the bakery, so chances are good there's going to be a fit
So when you lose two of your best offensive linemen and you got to protect Tom Brady, that doesn't bode well for the Buccaneers. So there's a lot of people picking the Rams to beat Tampa Bay. And with the playoffs, at the end of the season, everybody gets injuries, and you hope your injuries come early so you have your best players back healthy again by the end of the year. Unfortunately, that didn't happen with Tampa Bay. They've had a lot of injuries the last 2-3 weeks. They've lost a couple of good wide receivers and now 2 offensive linemen. I mean, they've got like 7 starters out. And
really?
Yeah,
7?
Something like that is what I saw. So I'm picking the Rams in that one.
Okay.
I think they'll get them because they're playing well, and Tampa Bay is hurt. And then it finishes up with it's really going to be a fun game to watch with the Bills against the Chiefs because both are really good teams.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and a lot of Chiefs fans here in Fort Dodge, and I'm a Bears fan, but I'm also a Chiefs fan. And
you kind of got to go with the Midwestern team.
Yeah, you do. And I've always liked Mahomes and the way he carries himself. He's an outstanding football player. But
good kid too. He seems
great young man. It seems like, and I've always liked Andy Reid, and so I've always been a Kansas City, kind of a secondary Kansas City fan ever since I took how old I am. And Polak paid for him.
You and I are pretty much the same age. So.
But it's interesting because they still love Eddie Polak down there in Kansas City. His name's on the stadium. A ring of honor or something. But that'll be a good game because Buffalo right now, I mean, they just look unbeatable when they played last week against the Patriots. And their quarterback Josh Allen is playing outstanding. And they've got a good defense. Micah Hyde, of course, made second-team All-Pro, former Hawkeye, and then they've got Epinesa. Remember, Epinesa was an All-American for Iowa as a defensive end. He's a backup defensive end for Buffalo, but he plays a lot.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was still on Denver.
No, he's always in Buffalo.
Was he always in Buffalo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, they drafted
him.
I
think of somebody went to Denver.
You're probably thinking of Josie Jewell.
That's who I'm thinking.
And Josie Jewell got hurt and has been out all season, unfortunately. He was the starting middle linebacker for Denver, but he got hurt, I think, in training camp and has been out all year. So, but anyway, it'll be a fun weekend for NFL football, and a lot of I'm expecting to be a lot of close games. It could come down to the last possession on some of these games for these, so it should be fun. And
Randy Coleman's our guest. We're talking sports at AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge. By all means, if you like to join the conversation, 955-1400. If you're a Cheesehead fan or whatever you are, 955-1400. Aaron Rodgers is really the only one who won a Super Bowl. I mean, they're calling him one of the greatest, and I have to go along with that. He has great control, and his statistics speak for themselves. But he hasn't really, and maybe has it been the team around him, or is it a failure on Rodgers' part?
Oh, no. It's been the team around him. Rodgers has been outstanding. But, it's tough to win Super Bowls when Tom Brady's winning them all.
I'm a little sick of that. It wouldn't bother me at all if Tampa Bay got beat.
I'm right with you, Mike. I like Brady's class guy.
Great quarterback.
But, I kind of want to see other people win. But I think this might be the Packers' year. They've got a solid defense, and they've got a really good offense. And they're getting healthy again. They're one of those that got injured early, and now people are coming back and are healthy to play again. So with Rodgers there and Vontae Adams, and a lot of people predicting that this will be the last go-around with Rodgers in Green Bay. So,
yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. But everybody's got to go through Green Bay and play in Lambeau Field because they're the top seed in the NFC. So that gives Green Bay Packers a huge advantage. And I don't think there's a real outstanding team that just say, hey, no one's going to beat this team. So everybody's playing for second place. It's wide open right now. And so it'll be fun to watch. 'Cause I think these games are going to be close, and there'll be a lot of drama probably. So
We were talking about the Bears a little bit earlier. Have they named a new head coach yet?
no, they're still interviewing people, and every day I read another story about who the leading candidate is, and the next day it's somebody else. Today they were talking about Jim Caldwell being the leading candidate, who used to be he's a former Hawkeye,
Yeah.
and former head coach at Detroit and Indianapolis. And
That's right, he was in Indianapolis.
but a few days ago, it was Jim Harbaugh was the leading candidate. So and now I don't even see his name being mentioned. So everybody's just speculating, and so I think it's up for grabs who will be the next coach right now.
Well, I think that's probably.
And the Vikings are the same way. I mean, they're still looking for a coach and a general manager, as are the Bears. The Bears are looking for a general manager as well. So. I think there's five, maybe as many as five jobs open out there right now. So
I know Kirk Cousins has got a Fort Dodge connection and all that sort of thing, but we spent too much money on him up there in Minnesota. You okay over there?
Yeah. I didn't fall off the chair.
It sounded like it did.
Well, yeah, I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan.
You are.
And he's got great statistics. People complain that, sometimes they say, well, he has a great game and then he'll make a bad play. But every quarterback does that. I mean, look at the quarterback from Tyler Murray. Kyler Murray. That stupid pass he made last week. I mean, every quarterback in the NFL, and even Tom Brady's done it. I mean, they'll make a really bad decision, and when a quarterback makes a bad decision, it usually is a horrible interception or something, And what's his face last week? Quarterback for San Francisco, Garoppolo, made a horrendous play that pick six late in the game on a really bad throw that he made to a guy who was wide open. He overthrew him, and so those things happen to all quarterbacks. But if the Vikings would have won more, Cousins would get all the credit, but they haven't won enough, and so the quarterback gets all the blame as well. So
head coach too, because he's gone. I was never, all due respect, the former Viking head coach seemed like
Zimmer,
but
well, the stories are coming out about him now, though.
Really? What stories are you talking
Well,
about?
that he was kind of just a jerk.
Oh, really?
And not liked by the players very much, and not
very good.
Not a player's coach. He's kind of out of that old mode of coaching where we bark and gripe, and today's players don't relate to that anymore.
No.
And there was also stories coming out that even the assistant coaches were not real pleased in working with him. He had about, in the years that he was at Minnesota, he probably had 4 different offensive coordinators. And so,
really,
yeah, that gives you a little bit of an indication too. So I think the players, and they've been a little bit close, but there's things coming out now that I think they're happy to see him go. The big question will be, will they keep Cousins? Because if he stays another year, it's a big price tag for Minnesota.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think he's due to get paid like $35 million. And we don't understand how this works. We were talking about it lunch the other day, but his salary against the cap is like $49 million. Even though he doesn't make that, we don't understand how that works. But that's what they were saying. But so that's a lot of money to pay him. But
that's a lot of money.
But at the same time, it's not like they got a young stud, backing him up that's ready to come in and take over either. So if
who do they have?
Well, they've got Kelly Mond, who's who's quarterback at Texas A&M for a few years. That wasn't a highly talented pro prospect, and then they got somebody else too. But Yeah, so it's a guy named Mannion, I guess it was.
Mannion.
Yeah, and so they would need to go out and the other problem they got is this is not going to be a great draft year out of college for quarterback prospects. It's kind of unlike last year where there were some really good ones coming.
There were.
This year, it's not the same thing. So I don't, that puts the Vikings a little bit of a bind that way because it's not like, well, we're going to go out and draft a really great quarterback and put our future on him. So it'll be interesting to see if they stick with Cousins or not.
Well, for that much money, they may find somebody else. They could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes down to a money deal. You're probably
It's always money, right? It's always
pretty
money.
much. Yeah. And speaking of that, or kind of speaking of that, I don't know if you saw this today, Mike, but the NCAA Board of Directors voted yesterday to change their constitution. And the storyline is that they really are relinquishing a lot of their authority to conferences. And so, it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out because the one authoritative body that has always been there to try to manage things and keep things on the right course is really starting to weaken itself. And it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is of that because right now, the first thing we saw this year is this whole NIL stuff, and that's turning out to be a disaster for college sports.
I know, Randy, but it's coming. I know you feel that way.
Well, it can be legislated though.
It can.
I mean, they got to get even Nick Saban and Kirby Smart have both come out and said that we've got to control this thing. It's getting out of control, and it's not a good thing for college.
Well, you know where I'm going with those two. I think it's hugely huge hypocrisy for those who make millions. Nick Saban makes $9.2 million. Kirby Smart is what? $7 million. Well, they don't want to pay the players who will ruin college football. Come on, guys. Just stay in the background on this one.
But it's not that they're necessarily against paying the players, but it's that now you can cheat. I mean, it's all about cheating now. That's what.
What do you mean by cheating?
You can offer players money to just go to your school. You can buy them. The quarterback from Oklahoma has put himself out on the open market. The guy that was their stud quarterback this year has come out and said, "Hey, I'm going into the portal, and he's going to see who's going to come up with the highest price NIL for him. And if Oklahoma comes up with it, he'll stay there. If not, he's gone." I mean, that's not what college athletics is about.
I got to cut you off there because we got to go. Randy Cohen's our guest. Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge.
With the Wholesale Formula Seminar, discover how to start your own Amazon business.
Hi, Ian Bauer. My first year averaged $45,000 a month in sales. Now I'm at $90,000 a month and hardly working.
Hi, I'm Amy Sherlock. I attended the Wholesale